Melissa Gilbert recently broke her silence for the first time since her husband was released from jail, opening up to fans about what she calls an extraordinarily difficult time for her family. The Little House on the Prairie star shared a reflective message about grief, exhaustion, and stepping back from the noise, words that arrived just days after a major legal development involving her husband. Timothy Busfield, the actor and director now facing charges of criminal sexual contact and child abuse, allegations he has strongly denied. In her message, Gilbert addressed followers directly, writing, "I'm sending you all my love and gratitude during this extraordinarily difficult time." She added that the weight extends beyond her immediate family, referencing what she described as a broader emotional heaviness many people are experiencing. Gilbert continued, "Not only for Tim, me, and our family, but in the collective heaviness so many of us seem to be carrying right now." She also alluded to compounding pressures, noting, "Add an unexpected storm to the mix, and it can all feel like a bit too much." The post was accompanied by a photo of Gilbert seated on a couch holding a cup of tea, looking over her shoulder, a quiet image paired with reflective words about stepping back during a turbulent moment. She went on to say the period has reinforced the importance of slowing down and refocusing, writing, "This season has reminded me very clearly how important it is to slow down, prioritize what truly matters, and allow ourselves moments of rest." Gilbert explained that distancing herself from constant updates has been intentional, adding, "Stepping back from the noise, the news, and even our daily responsibilities from time to time gives us space to recharge, reflect, and find our center again." She closed by thanking supporters for what she described as ongoing encouragement, writing, "Thank you for the love, patience, and support you continue to show Tim and me." She credited the modern Prairie community for helping her feel safer, more grounded, and deeply held, and said she plans to return gradually, moving forward one step at a time. Meanwhile, Timothy Busfield, 68, remains at the center of the legal case. The actor, best known for Field of Dreams and 30-something, surrendered himself to Albuquerque police earlier in January 2026, days after an arrest warrant charged him with 2 counts of criminal sexual contact and child abuse. The charges stem from alleged incidents that reportedly occurred while Busfield was working on the set of the Fox television series The Cleaning Lady. During a court hearing, New Mexico State District Judge David Murphy acknowledged evidence indicating Busfield is accused of crimes involving children and described the allegations as inherently dangerous. However, Murphy ruled that prosecutors did not demonstrate that no release conditions could adequately protect public safety, allowing Busfield to be released from custody as he awaits trial. Timothy Busfield is out of jail, released by a New Mexico judge as his wife, actress Melissa Gilbert, broke down in tears inside the courtroom. The emotional moment unfolded as Judge David A. Murphy ruled that the Emmy-winning actor and director would be freed while awaiting trial in a sex abuse case, a decision that allowed Busfield to walk out without posting bail. Gilbert, seated in court during the hearing, became visibly emotional as the ruling was delivered, marking a dramatic scene in a case that continues to send shockwaves through Hollywood.
There's not been any prior pretrial detention finding, so on the balance, I cannot find that the state has proven by clear and convincing evidence that there are no release conditions that would reasonably protect the safety of any other person in the community. So I am denying the state's motion. I'll take care of that order. That'll be published tomorrow. So, Mr. Busfield, I'll set the following conditions of release. You're authorized for release on your own recognizance.
Busfield, 68, surrendered to local authorities last week and was taken into custody in connection with allegations involving 2 minor boys. He's accused of sexually abusing the children while working as a director and producer on The Cleaning Lady, a television series filmed in New Mexico. Busfield has flatly denied the allegations. Prosecutors urged the court to keep him behind bars, arguing that the accusations reflect a broader pattern of inappropriate behavior, one they claim escalated and ultimately culminated on the set of the series. They pointed to statements made by the parents of the boys, who alleged that Busfield groomed and sexually abused their children while working with them during production. Those allegations were detailed in the arrest warrant filed by prosecutors.
It was during therapy, not the parents, to a neutral party that SL described sexual abuse by the defendant and VL disclosed inappropriate touching. The boys' disclosures in this case, they were detailed, they were visceral, they were also not exaggerated.
Inside the courtroom, Busfield's defense team mounted an aggressive push for his release. Attorneys submitted more than 70 letters written by individuals vouching for Busfield's character, reputation, and conduct throughout his decades-long career. The defense also told the court that Busfield had taken and passed a polygraph test related to the allegations. In addition, they cited a psychosexual risk assessment, arguing that it supported their claim that Busfield does not pose a danger.
I don't need to tell the court this, but my client is presumed innocent. As he sits here today, he is an innocent man. And I have significant concerns about the prosecution talking as if he has already been convicted.
That these allegations, this complaint, is not only all over New Mexico, all over the national media, it is all over the world. It's too late. That bell can't be unrung. The idea that he could then go out and be dangerous with a child in the world where everybody knows who he is absurd. That's absurd.
Prosecutors challenged that evidence. They asked the judge to give limited weight to the polygraph results, a standard position in many criminal cases, and raised concerns about relying on such evaluations at this stage. Still, Busfield's attorney insisted there was overwhelming evidence that the allegations were, quote, manufactured. Judge Murphy acknowledged the competing arguments before issuing his ruling, allowing Busfield's release while making clear that the case itself remains very much active.
The question is whether or not the state has proven by clear and convincing evidence that there are no release conditions that would reasonably protect the safety of any other person or the community. It's broken down into the three-part analysis articulated in State versus Groves, and in that analysis, the court considers the factors enumerated in Rule 549F6 as required by State versus Anderson. The first question is whether or not the information proffered carries sufficient indicia of reliability to be worthy of consideration. I do find that the state's 6 exhibits and the defendant's 28 exhibits and the court's 2 exhibits and the testimony offered today are reliable for purposes of this decision. The next question is the dangerousness question, the extent to which that information indicates that the defendant may likely pose a threat to the safety of others if released pending trial. I'll back up and note that probable cause was found by the Metropolitan Court judge. We're not set for a preliminary hearing today. I do find that that is sufficient for a probable cause finding for today's purposes. So, as to the dangerousness question, based on the nature and circumstances of the present offense, noting that this is a crime where the allegations involve criminal sexual contact of minor children in the genital areas, I do find that is inherently dangerous. So I'm satisfied based on those that the state has proven that Mr. Busfield does pose a danger to the safety of others. As to the last question, whether there are any potential pretrial release conditions that would reasonably protect the safety of others, I'll work my way through the F6 factors, first adopting my findings about the nature and circumstances of the present offense. I'll move on to the weight of the evidence. Now, Ms. Brandenburg-Koch is right. It's important to acknowledge the nature of sexual assault cases, and delays in reporting, especially from minor alleged victims, are fairly common. That sort of sexual abuse often occurs in the dark. This situation is a little different in that the allegations involve the defendant being alleged to have committed these acts on a film set. Now, the defendant's presentation, the affidavits from a number of people who worked on that film set, the independent investigation performed by the law firm hired by Warner Brothers, the testimony offered today do not corroborate the allegations offered by the alleged victims in this case. Now, while true, the statement from those children to law enforcement initially and expressly denied that anything occurred, the children then subsequently reported these things. That's not uncommon. As it stands today, based on the limited information I have in front of me, I'll characterize the weight of the evidence against the defendant as neutral at this point in time. As to the defendant's history and characteristics, as included or reflected in Court's Exhibit 1, this defendant exhibits zero criminal history, no misdemeanor or felony history. The state has brought forth a number of allegations over the last 30 years, something of a pattern involving allegations of this defendant committing some sort of sexual contact against post-pubescent women. Now, these allegations have not been vetted by the judicial system for various reasons. There being a civil settlement in one of those, a declined prosecution, or no action taken on the exchange of the defendant engaging in therapy. I understand that given the media attention to this case, that more people may come forward with other allegations supporting this pattern. But at this point in time, it's difficult for the court to put too much weight into those allegations as they've not been vetted by the judicial system. I'm concerned about the allegations of this defendant using his position of power on a film set to advance his own personal motive. But the affidavits offered by other people working on the film set do not show that Mr. Busfield has used or abused that position of power. With regards to the nature and seriousness of the danger posed, I'm very mindful of the higher court's guidance in the Begay case in weighing this defendant's risk of reoffending. But given the lack of a pattern involving children in this case, I think that can be remedied through different conditions of release. For factor E, I don't find that there's been sufficient presentation that this defendant may commit new crimes if released pending trial. There's no evidence of a pattern of criminal conduct. There are no similar allegations involving children in his past. There's no evidence of non-compliance with prior court orders. Rather, this defendant self-surrendered and submitted himself to this court's jurisdiction, demonstrating compliance with the court order for his arrest. There's not been any prior pretrial detention finding. So on the balance, I cannot find that the state has proven by clear and convincing evidence that there are no release conditions that would reasonably protect the safety of any other person in the community. So I am denying the state's motion. I'll take care of that order. That'll be published tomorrow. So Mr. Busfield, I'll set the following conditions of release. You're authorized for release under your own recognizance with the conditions that you appear at all future court settings. You're not violating the laws. You'll be supervised by pretrial services here in Albuquerque at a level 2. I'm not going to prohibit your travel. I understand you may not live here, but you will need to report to pretrial services here. You're not to possess any firearms or dangerous weapons. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. You must notify the court of your address. You're not to have any contact with the alleged victims or their families, and you're also not to discuss the case with any witnesses. That's what the attorneys and their investigators are there to do, and we can't have you tamper with any of that. And then you need to maintain weekly contact with your attorney in this case.
Busfield, best known for roles in The West Wing and 30-something, now faces a legal battle that could redefine his legacy.